Marla's my baby.
Ashleigh Collier said her daughter Zada was a busybody.
When you see the picture of this little girl, your heart breaks.
The girl's father, Tony White, said she was a mini version of himself.
An 11-year-old Atlanta area babysitter, there is the 2-year-old, is charged with murdering her.
Her grandmother called her an angel.
The details are heartbreaking. The toddler's mother says her little girl was pale and blue when she arrived to pick her up at this apartment building.
It's hard to justify the loss of a life so young. Harder when it's another child, an 11-year-old, who's accused of murdering her.
The 2-year-old Georgia girl is dead, and her 11-year-old babysitter is accused of murder. 11.
I've never seen a child do that to another child. So I don't have any justification. Actually, I'm just numb.
The babysitter told investigators little Zada White fell off the bed, but an autopsy showed she was beaten in the head, torso, and her bottom.
The autopsy showed it was blunt force trauma to the head. That indicates a severe head injury.
Heartbreaking. I don't even understand how anybody could do anything like that, let alone an 11-year-old girl.
And I'm Rita Cosby in for Nancy Grace. EMTs rushed to a Georgia home after a frantic 911 call reports a 2-year-old girl severely injured after falling from a bed. The babysitter claiming it's an accident, but the autopsy reveals blunt force trauma to the head, torso, even the buttocks. All those injuries from falling off a bed, and in a shocking twist, the babysitter is only 11 years old, charged now with murder. For the latest, let's go to Eric Jens. He's a news director with WRGA Radio. Eric, fill us in on what happened in this case.
Oh, thank you very much, Rita. As you said, 2-year-old Zada White was left in the care of an 11-year-old babysitter Saturday night. Sunday morning, that young child was pronounced dead at Scottish Rite Children's Hospital in Atlanta. The babysitter claims that what happened was the child fell out of a bed, to which she reacted by picking the child up, placing her back in the bed, and giving her some apple juice. However, a preliminary autopsy report indicates otherwise. That's what led police to these charges. Blunt force trauma to the torso and buttocks, as well as a head injury. That led to the charges, which police filed and have now led to the arrest of the 11-year-old babysitter, charge of murder and cruelty to children.
Natisha Lance, our Nancy Grace producer, you're there on the scene. Natisha, when you hear this, and I was seeing the reports that when the mother of the baby came back to the babysitter, the baby didn't look right. Describe what that baby looked like. This is disgusting.
Right. When the mother came back, she found the baby lying in the bed. She said that she was blue. Her eyes were wide open. Her arms were crossed under her chest, over her chest, and she was unresponsive. She asked the 11-year-old girl what happened. At first, the 11-year-old girl said nothing. Then she asked again, what happened? And that's when she gave the story that the child had fallen off the bed.
Dr. Lee Van Oker with the University of Maryland School of Medicine. You hear this. The child is blue, and apparently the other reports that the hands were sort of crossed. The baby was lying on top of the bed. What does this say to you in terms of what may have happened here? And was that child dead when the mother arrived?
Yeah, probably if the child was blue, the child was not breathing, and if it was due to a head injury, the child probably had died. I mean, CPR probably wouldn't have made that much of a difference. And falling off a bed, there is no way. I mean, maybe you would have an isolated head injury of such, but blunt force trauma in multiple places and just falling off a bed, it doesn't make sense.
Dr. Van Oker, that was the question I was going to ask you. You look at torso, buttocks, head, fall off a bed. Have you ever seen a case like that? Here we're looking at this.
No, absolutely not that many injuries from a single fall in a bed. You've seen kids, they fall. They maybe hit one spot on their head. If they hit a dresser or a movable object, they need stitches. They could have a serious head injury from it, but you wouldn't have all this other trauma, too.
Yeah, it seems way too much, and clearly cops zeroed in for them suddenly to make an arrest so quick. There's something else they've got, too. Let's go to Francesca from Washington State. She's on the line. Francesca?
Yes. Hello?
Hello there. What's your question tonight?
Yeah, my question is, if the baby had fell from the bed, the baby with all those bruises or the blows to the head or whatever it is, the baby would have been crying. Why didn't the 11-year-old mother attend to the baby falling off the bed? And did the 11-year-old even go to her mom and tell her what happened? Because if a baby fell off the bed that hard, the baby would have been screaming or crying or in pain.
Well, and that's a great question. I thought of the same thing, Francesca, because right away, if the baby fell, a responsible person, and by the way, the mother claims that she thought the baby was not going to be left alone with this babysitter, this 11-year-old babysitter, that the mother of the babysitter was supposed to be with her too. She thought there was going to be an adult present. The big question is, where was that mother too? That's a whole other issue. But indeed, if she saw the baby fall, wasn't she instructed, look, if there's a problem, call your mom, call me, do something, call 911. Sue Moss, attorney, what do you think?
She's an 11-year-old babysitter. What, were all the sweatshops closed? Where was the adult supervision?
Exactly.
The fact that anyone would leave such a young child with another child, that's also grounds for arrest. That's absolutely ridiculous, and that's what also led to this tragedy.
Alex Sanchez, what could happen potentially? Could any charges come to this mother who was supposed to be with the babysitter, with her daughter? Apparently she's a co-worker of the mother of this child.
Yeah, I mean,
and she wasn't there, it doesn't seem. By the way, there's a report that she showed up to do CPR. Oh, convenient, she's there for CPR, but we don't hear anything about a fall. We don't hear where the mother was during all this time.
I mean, if she had agreed to take custody of that child and then left the premises in the custody of an 11-year-old who didn't have the ability to care for that child, yeah, there could be some type of charges against that mother for some form of neglect. But, you know, one of the possibilities that's come up that I've thought about is whether or not this 11-year-old had let some other kids into that apartment. And maybe something happened and she's afraid to reveal the truth. I think that needs to be looked into.
I seen that baby laying in the bed and she was really pale and blue. And she was in the bed like this. The girl never said nothing. Her mom just did CPR. When I kept asking her, she said that Zada fell off the bed and she put her back in the bed and gave her apple juice and that was it.
If the mother of this child left an 11-year-old to be the sole sitter for this child, then that mother really needs to be looked at, because you don't leave a 2-year-old with an 11-year-old to watch. Now, if the 11-year-old mother was supposed to be there, and she was supposed to be the caregiver of this 2-year-old, and she left leaving the 11-year-old, then the 11-year-old's mother needs to be charged in here also. This all should not fall on this 11-year-old child. Oh, this is just sad. Just sad. We have a missing 2-year-old, and now we have a dead 2-year-old.